This is a CNIB Lake Joe at Home program. CNIB Lake Joe at Home logo, image description, an illustration of a marshmallow roasting in a campfire with a roof in the background.
I'm Myra Rodriguez. I live in Toronto. I only have light perception now, but I lost my vision when I was about 4 years old and was, always between 4 and 7% vision through until about 12 years ago. And then I lost everything else, even color vision, which drives me nuts. I'm getting blessed. Anyway, we'll start with rock climbing first because we've got a beautiful day for this. And I love outdoor climbing, but indoor climbing is also a great alternative when the weather's not nice or it's wet and so on. So the first climb I did is the photo that Sherry has there, and it was a cliff near Collingwood, quite famous to climbers. And my friend Tammy Adams and I had been invited to join a group that are the Adaptive Climbing Society of Canada. And so their director for Ontario is Kate Stewart, and they work with all kinds of disabilities and climbing. We were the first blind people they had, and I just found the day so exciting. And the group was very, very friendly and cheerful and helpful. So I thought, when we came back to Toronto, I said, we've got to share this with our friends and other people who might enjoy climbing because it's a very tactile sport. Anyway, so we did that. We came back and we formed CCB Rocks, a chapter of CCB, and we had sort of 1 year of climbing, and then our second year in March of 2020, we had a great program for the year. We had our first meeting beginning of March at a gym out in the East End. Everybody was enthusiastic, and then March 16th or 17th came along, and everything's been shut down ever since. So all the gyms were closed, no climbing, and outdoor climbing wasn't considered to be really safe either. It's too hot to climb with a mask on, and your face is very close to the rock face or whatever, so, where other people are climbing. So we haven't done any climbing since then. But I wanted to tell you a few things about climbing. But first, can you unmute people for a minute, Sherry or Amy? Who's in control of the mute?
So people can unmute themselves if they want.
Okay.
If you're on a phone, it's star 6 to unmute yourself.
Okay. Has anybody or have all of you done some climbing in your life?
Yes.
Just give us your name and tell me what you've done, okay?
This is Karen. I live on the West Coast, and my first experience with rock climbing was with high school. I came from a family where my mother insisted on wine glasses on the boat. So anything like that, I learned outside the home. And it was in Squamish, and I had so much fun. It was fabulous. And rappelling was my favorite part. Of rock climbing. Yeah, I love going fast and wild. So I just love that part. Also, I had done some rock climbing with my children, and when they were probably of age, maybe 4 and 5, was my children doing some rock climbing at Whistler on an outdoor rock climbing wall. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, we really, really enjoyed that. Or maybe there were 5 and 6 perhaps. And that was a lot of fun. So that,
you've had lots of experience. Great, thank you so much. And I know that there's an active division of the Canadian Adaptive Rock Climbing Society out in BC. So.
Oh, that's great to know. Thank you for sharing.
Okay. Anybody else has been climbing?
Well,
I'm sorry?
My name's Marsha Gilchrist, and I've never done rock climbing or rappelling, but I guess sometime I'd like to try it.
Oh, good. Okay, well, that's always where you've got to start, is want to climb. That's good to know. Anybody else?
Yes, my name is Chantal. I did rock climbing classes at Cégep. In Quebec, it's in between high school and university.
Yeah.
And after that, I moved in Ottawa area, and I enjoyed rock climbing. So I was part of a climbing association where they went out in Quebec side or Ottawa side to do rock climbing. And I do have inside the climbing
Indoor
place,
climbing?
Indoor climbing. It's like a 12-minute walking distance from my home. So it's nice also.
Experience. I should turn this over to you, my dear. But that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Anybody else been climbing?
I climbed in Colorado.
Oh, neat.
Was down there for the Special Olympics in 1994 for wrestling.
Wow.
And while we were down there, we took a day and went rock climbing on some massive rocks and ledges, and just it was just an incredible experience to.
Fantastic!
Like ledges of 6 inches wide, and you have to slide along the wall and hold on to these little hooks and just everything. Mr. Howe, anybody that knows Mr. Howe, and he was the one that took us, and if there was a job that we could do, it was Mr. Howe made us do it.
Oh, I've heard such good things about him.
Sorry, what's your name? Who's speaking right now?
Oh, I'm Jeff Ball from Kingston,
Jeff.
Ontario.
Hi, Jeff.
Yep.
Oh, Jeff.
Okay, great.
It was a really neat experience. But
you don't forget it, do you? It's just.
No, you never forget that.
Anybody else been up a wall or feeling like climbing a wall?
My name is Tiffany, and I would try to do rock climbing. I would find it to be interesting.
Uh-huh.
But I have some bouncing issues, so it would probably be like difficult, but I would enjoy to learn how to do it. And
yeah, almost everybody can climb. In fact, we all started our lives climbing out of cribs, climbing out of playpens, climbing on furniture when we were older, probably climbing on jungle gyms. But it's sort of a natural thing, and I'm sure our ancestors going way, way back did a lot of climbing, even before we were human. We had to climb out of the sea onto the shore and up over the rocks. So climbing is a very, very natural activity, and it uses almost every muscle in our body without being weight-bearing. So if you want a sport to match, to cross-train, climbing and running are considered, or climbing and power walking or climbing and jogging are considered to be a really great pair of sports to do together. Thing is, with running and so on, you've got, your knees and your ankles are consistently pounding, whereas rock climbing, nothing is. You're just strengthening and reaching and strengthening. And with every climb, you learn something and you get better. So
you do if you do it long enough.
Yeah. And if you start, don't worry about getting to the top of Everest. I tell people, look, if you can get 4 feet off the ground your first climb, that's success.
Right.
Success isn't reaching the stars the first time out.
It's just getting out of the comfort zone of being plateau and breaking it by learning to climb higher and higher each time.
That's right. And there are various tricks that you learn when you're climbing. Let me just start first. I want to go back up a little bit to safety. Every sport has a risk attached to it. And things that aren't sports, like crossing the road, also has risks attached to it, especially in Toronto here. So to be prepared when you're going to do a sport, when you're going to start climbing, think through what you need. If you're doing outdoor climbing and it's summertime, you're going to need something as basic as bottles of water, because it's important to be hydrated. You're going to need sunscreen. You're going to need to start with, for your first climb, usually we suggest just running shoes. Good running shoes will do. And then once usually if you join a course or a climbing club or group, they will initially provide you with the other equipment, such as the harness, which is very important. That's your lifeline. And and often they have helmets too that they will lend to people, though you may want to buy your own helmet. And the helmets are very light and very comfortable to wear. So that's what you need to begin with. Just remember sunscreen, water, the most basic things, because people can have a disastrous day out on the rocks if they don't have those two things at hand. The climbing community is very, very friendly, very helpful. People love to help each other, partly because it's not really a competitive sport. You're competing with yourself and your own accomplishments. So that's where you start. With our group, we started with few outdoor climbs. We try to do outdoor climbing in the good weather, which in Toronto can be June, July, August, September. You can't really climb outdoors on rainy days because everything is far too slippery. It's important to climb with people you feel confident with and people who understand your needs. We find that some climbers like a lot of instruction as they're climbing, so they want the coach or whoever is their partner to let them know how far to reach or which direction to reach their hand for the next handhold or where to put their foot. And other people like to explore the rock face or the wall face first, and then if they can't find where to go or what to do with their foot or their hand, look over their shoulder or indicate to the person on the ground, tell me what's next, please, because sometimes the climbs are tricky. They don't always go straight up. They might jar off to the right or to the left. Personally, I like to explore the wall with my hands first, so you're always in contact with the wall, whether it's indoor or out, with three of your limbs. So one hand and 2 feet, or 2 hands and 1 foot, always. So you never lift both a hand and a foot off out of the grips at the same time. And personally, I like to start with my right hand up, straight up, and then you're close to the rock or the wall, and then slide my hand out to the right to sort of almost number 3 on an old alarm clock, and find what's there. If I can't find a grip, then I do the same. Put my right hand back into a safe place to hold. Put my left hand up, straight up. Reach just a little bit to the right, and then sweep my hand out to the left and my arm to look for holds. If I can't find anything, and I do a little up on my toes if I can, I still can't reach anything, then I do appreciate somebody saying, do this or do that, and you'll find a place to grip. And the same with your toes. Now, if you find you really like the sport and you go on to climbing shoes, the advantage of them is that they're narrow, and so you can get your toes into crevices or onto small ledges that you can't do with runners. The downfall is they aren't that comfortable. So once you're not climbing, you want to take them off and put on something comfortable on your feet. It's not like you can put them on in the morning after you've had your breakfast and wear them for the day, including climbing, because they're just not comfortable for that. And even very, very experienced climbers will only wear their climbing shoes when they are actually at their climbing site, and then they put them on. Gloves are a great idea, especially if you're outside and the walls or the rocks you're climbing are rough. Personally, I like gloves that are cycling gloves where the fingers are open, so you can still feel the wall or whatever, but you don't get I hate getting the palms of my hands roughed up. My hands are my eyes, and I'm very protective of them. So cycling gloves work for me, but some people prefer no gloves, and others like to have all of their hands covered. I find that harder because I can't feel things with all my hands covered. When you are thinking of climbing, you want to try to get yourself in good physical shape. With climbing, it's the sort of your fingertips that you're using that are taking a lot of your weight, more than your whole hand grip. So with a bicycle, you've got your whole hand over the handlebar. With climbing, you're putting a lot of weight on your fingertips. And there are good exercise things you can get there. You sell them at places like Mountain Equipment Co-op or other sportswear, and there are balls, this little round balls of different density. So start with ones that are very easy to squeeze. You squeeze them, you can put your fingers in little loops, spread your fingers out and in, and they usually go three to a set. So you get your easy one to start with, then work with your middle one, and then work with your lower hard ball. And that's a great hand exercise because you're going to use your hands a lot. It's going to depend on your hands. Other than that, that sort of is where to start, and you always want to climb with an experienced partner or group and with a coach. And you want to make sure before you start climbing that you're well rested, that you're not headachy or feeling ill. Never do something just because you're asked to do it or just because you have to feel you have to do whatever the person ahead of you did. You don't. And climbing is one of those great things, as somebody just mentioned, that you can do with your whole family. Children, all ages can climb. At our last indoor climb, we had a gentleman show up who was 77 years old, very quiet-spoken, and his daughter came with him and his son-in-law because they were concerned that he wanted to climb, and he's totally blind. Anyway, we got him to the wall. My heavens, he was up there like a monkey. Nobody could believe it. But it just seemed to come natural to him. And we have a few people in our club who are extremely good climbers. Some of them have been very good runners and done the extra long marathons and so on are still running. They tend to be good climbers too. But everybody is a good climber if you get your foot off the ground. And climbing is now a sport that is an Olympic sport this year for the first year. So it's an Olympic sport and it's a Paralympic sport. So there you go. You've all got something to work towards if you want to do that kind of climbing.
To learn more about CNIB Lake Joe at-home programs, visit CNIBLakeJoe.ca.